Yo, how you guys doing?
Awesome. Yo, dude, I'm so pumped. By the way, guys, this Why Are We Bullish is unofficially sponsored by this unnamed tequila. We will be taking a shot in every 15 to 20 minute intervals. As you can see, Preston Pysh is feeling slightly uncomfortable right now, but that makes really good television. So yes, I'm very excited. Thanks, Ben. Thanks for having me.
How about you, man? How you doing?
I'm doing really well. I'm quite sunburnt, but that's the trade-off, right? Nothing in life is free, and that's a cheap price to pay. This is a great time, great event.
I, too, am currently a lobster, but very excited to have you gentlemen here. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. This is Why Are We Bullish live from the halving party in El Salvador, and it's going to be a good one. Again, this is an interesting one for me. First time doing a remote Why Are We Bullish with guests live on set. Hat tip to Nico, to Opti, who's producing, and to the entire Simply Bitcoin team for letting me use all of their stuff. So we're going to be doing Why Are We Bullish. Of course, this applies more than ever between the setup and the tequila, but this is live. Anything can happen. So I defer to my friend Bill here.
Live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. And thing sucks.
My favorite. Okay, so normally you don't get to see the faces as that shit airs, but I always see it on the side. There's always like all the little faces of all people's streams, and I get to watch the people that have a great time with it and the people that are like, what am I doing on this show? Like, this is like luckily, we're all in good spirits here. So
I think that's what Jerome Powell says every time he goes on the podium.
Dude, I bet you Jerome Powell chugs this unbranded tequila every time he does a Fed meeting. Yeah, he has to. He has to.
Well, everybody tuning in, of course, like, sub, share, all those things. They help a ton in supporting the channel, getting this in front of more eyeballs. I am Ben with BTC Sessions. This is your daily session.
HODL the Bitcoin.
All right, before we dive into the panel, let's take a quick look at where we are in the market right now. I'm pulling up timechaincalendar.com. Simultaneously, I'm actually going to pull up the live chat, and that will be overlaid on the right-hand side of the screen. For better or worse, everything you say is now live for the world to see. So Timechain Calendar, where are we at here? Let's do a little refresh because it didn't like me. Okay, we're sitting at $67,809 per coin. A single US dollar will grab you 1,475 sats. In terms of fees, next block, 21 sats per byte, anytime 4. That's low. We've seen like low single digit sats per byte lately, which is very interesting to see. It's been a while. And then in terms of Bitcoin mined, 19.67 million. That is 93.69 percent of the supply. We're going to do a quick shout out to sponsors of the show, and then we will be back in a moment. Is on a mission to enable independence by being one of the easiest and quickest ways to purchase Bitcoin in Canada and the US. And the best part about it, every buy goes directly into your own self-custody. They never hold your coins. You can add a Bitcoin address as part of onboarding. There's a transparent 1% spread, no hidden fees, no withdrawal fees. Plus they have KYC free sells and bill payments on their website. They're also a publicly traded company under the ticker BTCW on the TSXV. Check them out over at bitcoinwell.com. Check out my full tutorial on how to use them, and you can check out the links in the show notes down below and sign up today. CoinKite.com has some of the best hardware on the market today to secure your Bitcoin. The Cold Card Q is an absolute powerhouse and is my daily driver. And on top of this, they have plenty of other goodies, including the Mark IV, the Tap Signer, Open Dimes, the Block Clock, and much more. If you head over to their website, make sure you use code BTC Sessions at checkout to get a nice discount. Links are in the show notes down below. Backups are important, and Seedor.io has one of the most robust and beautifully designed steel backup solutions on the market today. You can stamp your seed phrase into solid steel with one of their starter kits for 1 or 2 seeds, and secure your seed phrase from the elements like fire, water, and corrosion. On top of this, if you ever need to swap out any of the information therein, you can just grab a new set of discs and slide them into the capsule as you see fit. I've done a full tutorial on them that you can check out. Otherwise, click the links down below for the best shipping options for you. All right, welcome back. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. This is Why Are We Bullish? Anybody that's watching that's unfamiliar, Why Are We Bullish? Pretty simple premise. Each one of us comes with a reason for being bullish, although I don't think I really you guys know the drill, but hopefully you can brainstorm by the time we get down to you. I got my reason, but flow of the show. Each one of us has a reason for being bullish. That could be anything that floats our boat, but somebody's going to drop a reason for being bullish. That's their chance to rant on whatever they're excited about. Number 2, all together we'll riff on that reason, questions, comments, whatever rabbit holes we end up down. And number 3, we're going to rotate to the next person till we each have a turn. And that is that. So I'm going to get us started today. And I'm super bullish in the context of being here in El Salvador with something that I got to partake in before coming to the halving party. So I touched down in San Salvador late Monday night. On Tuesday morning, I met up with John Dennehy from Me Premier Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And awesome. What an absolute legend. And so I want to give this some context beforehand. I met him in Miami in 2022, and he came up to me and he was like, "Hey man, I'm working on something. We're just getting started. It's called Me Premier Bitcoin, or My First Bitcoin. We're building a curriculum that will be basically a Bitcoin diploma program. And we're going to start teaching it in the schools in El Salvador." And I was like, wow, okay, that's pretty cool. Good for you. Fast forward a mere 2 years later, this is what happened on Tuesday. I get picked up. He takes me over to the Me Premier Bitcoin house that they basically have. It's where they do all their work. There's a little classroom there. There's a whole bunch of different stuff. They've got a full curriculum, like book that they've put together, teaching people how to use Bitcoin. Somebody talk.
Hashtag tequila, guys, ladies and gentlemen. This Why Are We Bullish is brought to you by this unnamed tequila. We will not show the brand because they are not sponsoring. Back to you, Ben.
Thank you. Anyways, that was not tequila related. That was just me losing my voice related. Anyway, so they've been teaching kids.
No, that was definitely tequila related. Wait before the show. So
yeah. John's watching this being like, "Oh God, this is the promo I get."
Actually, never mind. This was just water. We actually also don't have any Bitcoin.
Yeah. So no, but it was amazing. So 2 years kind of since the rollout of this program, I get into San Salvador. I see the house where they're kind of working out of. And then we get in the car and we drive to a local school. There are, I want to say, I can't quite put it. I'm going to say close to 100 kids, all at this school. And also to give context to this, when they first rolled out this program where they're going to teach this diploma program, it's part of a high school graduation. You got to pass this in order to get through your high school diploma. You need to have some skills where you know how to create, use, delete, recover a Bitcoin wallet, send and receive transactions, all of that. When they rolled out the program, oftentimes as they were at schools doing this curriculum, there would be gangs waiting outside the schools to recruit kids and take them away from the school to be part of the gangs. When I went there, all of that gone. All of the kids are like happy and safe and excited. They're showing up to this event where people have flown in from around the globe to be a part of their graduation ceremony. And so what I got to do is I came in, and me along with a ton of other Bitcoiners went into a classroom, sat down, and you're in a desk and there's another kid across from you, and you'd have multiple kids come in. You would quiz them on a few Bitcoin related questions, and then you would get to see them execute receiving and sending transactions, and then you would test them on deleting and recovering a Bitcoin wallet. And so I did this for about 5 students myself. Everybody else in the room did it for multiple students. And we were literally just using like a translation tool on the phone because most of the kids didn't speak any English. And so I got to sit through and quiz high school kids on Bitcoin for them to be graduating high school. These kids are already ahead of 99% of the people that I know in my day-to-day life in terms of Bitcoin knowledge, but also in terms of just general financial knowledge. Because one of the questions that I liked to ask in mine, in my setup was, what is inflation and what causes it? And they had the right answer.
Yeah.
All of them had the right answer. And that was amazing to see. And it's growing. And Me Premier Bitcoin isn't just in El Salvador right now. So they're obviously across the country now. They're doing a ton of stuff, but they've got a network of people around the globe, and they're calling the people that host these programs, they're nodes in the network. And the nodes get to confirm or deny new nodes in the network. So somebody can apply to be a new node in this network and start teaching Bitcoin, but they're very, very meticulous in selecting who gets to do that, because number one, quality of education, but number two, making sure that it's very Bitcoin focused. And so like in this last round, there were 8 new nodes that applied, 1 got through. So this is the quality control that they're putting into and the thought that they're putting into this program. And it is spectacular. So I've got to give a tip of my hat to John and everybody working on Me Premier Bitcoin, because inside of 2 years, they've done something spectacular. And I can only imagine what they're going to accomplish if you were to jump forward a decade. These kids are so blessed to be gaining this knowledge so early in their lives. Mm-hmm. They're going to be miles ahead of the average Canadian American student going to high school right now. So kudos, John. Kudos to the Me Premier Bitcoin team, everybody working on this, every node in the network that is volunteering their time to help proliferate this. A special shout out to one of the nodes in the network back home in Canada, Jaime, Salvadoran citizen now living in Saskatchewan. Awesome dude. He's a Canadian node. And also shout out to their latest node, Isabella. You guys know Isabella. She does a lot of Bitcoin magazine stuff, but she's in Mexico and she just got approved to become a node in the network. So kudos to all of them. I'm curious your guys' thoughts on what Me Premier Bitcoin is doing. So
the one thing that I would say, I've gone through the course guide and the PDF that they have. I don't know how many pages it is, but the way that they have laid out the architecture of the course guide, and to start with the problem first and then define the solution to the problem, and the depth of information in the course guide and the way that it kind of walks you from literally knowing nothing to being pretty dang advanced. And the fact that you can go to GitHub and literally download this course guide, anybody, you don't have to be a node or you don't have to be even affiliated with them. It's completely free. There's no email address or anything that you got to put into some website in order to extract the PDF out. I cannot encourage people enough. I was recently asked to help a politician, somebody that is pretty high ranking, to help them understand Bitcoin. I literally went to their course guide and downloaded this PDF as I was preparing to have this conversation with this person, because I was like, this is literally the turnkey solution. I don't have to do hardly any work at all. And I know that it's just organized in a way that's going to help me think through the way that I want to present it to this person that might not be intimately familiar with Bitcoin. So, yeah, if people are listening to this and they're hearing about John and their program for the first time, I would highly encourage you to just go to their website, and there's links right there to go to GitHub and download the PDF, because it's a phenomenal piece of information that you can continue to leverage.
I'll say that Me Premier Bitcoin was the first time that I felt the pressure to be like, I could up my game. Yeah. And actually, you know what? It wasn't even I need to up my game. I just need to be a part of this, and I need to align myself with them because they're killing it. And I want to do everything I can to support what they're doing, because that. You said you can just download it, you can use it, you don't need to be affiliated with them, because they're saying we're open sourcing it. We're open sourcing the entire program. Anybody can use it, but obviously they've got like nodes in the network that are official, but anybody can use the information. And so I think they're absolutely killing it. And, you know, this is the future of Bitcoin education. And if I can be aligned with them in any way, then that's what I want to do.
100%. And I'll add to this, like, it's not a coincidence that they don't teach financial education in high school in the United States. I think they do it on purpose. I think that if people really woke up to the reality of, you know, how the financial system worked, I think this is actually a quote by Ron Paul. I think there would be a revolution on the streets the next day. So the fact that, you know, these kids coming out of high school, right, where their brains are still, you know, like very, very open to learning new types of information very quickly. The fact that they're being educated on a new financial system is a huge deal. The fact that the new generation of El Salvadorians, you know, or at least a portion of them, are being trained and educated on Bitcoin rather than the fiat system, I think is a massive deal. I think this is how we really change things. This is how we really win over the hearts and minds of individuals. Because what I've noticed is that most people, specifically the people that have spent the majority of their lives in the fiat matrix, meaning they've tried to maintain their purchasing power, they've invested, they've bought real estate, all of this stuff just to, you know, literally just maintain their wealth. The fact that these kids are just being taught, like, look, all you got to do is buy Bitcoin, earn Bitcoin, you know, put that Bitcoin to self-custody. This is how you use it. This is how you run your own node. This is how things will change, right? And what El Salvador represents, and being a Hispanic, being a Latin American, living in Miami, Venezuelan parents, the moment I landed to this country, I had a check, don't trust, verify mentality. So the first thing I did when I got into immigration, I said, I heard you guys accept Bitcoin. And they said, yeah. And the lady said, Bitcoin or Lightning? I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, Lightning. Literally take out my Zeus wallet, scan the thing. She gives me a QR code. I tweeted out, got retweeted by Nayib Bukele. Absolutely crazy. You know, I sent that to my parents immediately. Said, Mom, I made it. You know, but in all seriousness, what Mi Primer Bitcoin has done, and Ben had the honor to, you know, attend that auction dinner with you, Max and Stacy, of course, which have done so much for this country in terms of steering them in the right direction, staying away from, you know, the shit coins and all that stuff. I really feel hope in the people of this country. And this is coming from someone who's lived in various Latin American countries. El Salvador is special. You feel hope, you feel optimism here. And what Mi Primer Bitcoin is doing is really moving the envelope. It's really moving this, you know, ever so slowly, one step at a time, towards this world that we all want to live in as Bitcoiners, this hyper Bitcoinized world, this world where you have the ability to save for a better future. Therefore, you have the ability to be optimistic about a better future. A world on a sound money standard, a world on Bitcoin, which we all think it is. So what those guys are doing is absolutely incredible, and kudos to them. And it makes me extremely bullish. I just got to mention though, that we got about 3 minutes and 55 seconds on our 21-minute tequila countdown, you know, sponsored by the way, I found out what this tequila brand is. It's Optimus Fields Tequila, hecho en Mexico. And we got about 3 minutes until we do our, Optimus Field Tequila, Why Are We Bullish, El Salvador edition tequila shot.
Fun fact about that tequila, it's actually crafted from the tears of Christine Lagarde. After the specifically, not just any tears of Christine's, but specifically after the breakup.
100%. I don't know if Preston and Luke are caught up.
They were sweet. When I had my earlier,
I'm caught up.
Wait, you're Eskimo bros with Opti? Okay, never mind. But okay, so yes, Opti and Christine Lagarde, they have a background, and of course with Augustin Carson. And yes, this tequila definitely has not only Christine Lagarde tiers, but Augustin Carson was part of the manufacturing process.
I just want to give a shout out. Adam O'Brien from Bitcoin Well is in the chat right now, and he did comment accurately that this show is not Why Are We Bullish, but rather Between Two Tips.
This is true. And by the way, bitcoinwheel.com/simplybitcoin, best place to build your automatic self-custody Bitcoin stack.
This is Why Are We Bullish /BTC sessions, my friend.
Yeah.
That's what you said, right? That's what you said.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. I appreciate it.
Are we competing for Adam's attention?
I think so. So, Luke, I want to get your thoughts on Me Premier Bitcoin as well, and then we'll cap it off with a little cheers.
Unfortunately, I did not make the auction dinner and see that in person, but I did have a very similar experience. I was in Guatemala in February, in March, which was, or in February, which is barely a month and a half ago now that we're in early April. And there in Guatemala, at what's often called Lake Bitcoin or Bitcoin Lake, Lake Atilan, in the rest of the world, they have a very similar kind of program there of educating kids. Likewise, that program is less than 2 years old, or roughly 2 years old. It's smaller than the one here, and it's a different group, but it's still a very similar idea of educating the local Guatemalan youth, the kids, high school students of this area, the town that is known as the Bitcoin town, the Bitcoin area. There's 17 towns around this lake. This is one of the larger ones, and there's 2 others next to the town that are also getting into it up to a much smaller degree. But I'm very bullish for that reason. Actually, that day, I'll probably always remember it. But I was with a friend of mine who went down to Guatemala with me. Another Bitcoiner. He's one of my first clients that I helped him personally set up his multi-sig vault and anything. And the reason why is because he wanted to go out, explore the world, retire, do all that. And so we were literally on the Bitcoin boat, the big orange one. I'm surely you all have seen that, the orange boat on Bitcoin Lake, when Bitcoin was about to hit 50 grand. So like 49.8, 49.9, about to hit 50K a Bitcoin. And while we were in that class, it hit $50,000 in Bitcoin. So that was a very special experience that just to have, for me it was a special moment to have that reaffirmation that he was happy, he was living his life, he had the peace of mind, and now he's going out, seeing the world, country never been, seeing Bitcoin adoption on the ground level. You got this class with these dozens of kids learning about Bitcoin, and meanwhile is hitting 50 grand while we're sitting there in this experience. So yeah, I can't speak to locally here in El Salvador, Me Premier Bitcoin. I met John just before this, actually, outside, and really nice guy. Hopefully we'll hang out with him later today, but I'm sure it's wonderful. And the even bigger deal is not just what's happening today, but things similar are happening in different places around the world, Costa Rica, Guatemala, etc., especially here in Latin America. And the hope is that it's a competition upwards, right? Like you joked about upping your game. Like the efforts being done here is forcing Guatemala and Costa Rica to up their Bitcoin education and vice versa, right? And so it's a competition upwards. And so what's this?
100%. I'll test a second. So what El Salvador is doing is that they're making an example for the rest of the region, right? And people are paying attention, they're seeing it, and they see what's happening here. And perhaps not the politicians are benefiting from the traditional system, but the people of those countries are looking, and they're looking at El Salvador and they see hope. Look, I live in Miami, which is the Mecca for Latin America. If you are Hispanic and you migrate to Miami, that is the top place to be. I have met at least 1 or 2 El Salvadorians that have told me, I want to move back to El Salvador. That gives me chills when I say that. And that is just a testament of what Nayib Bukele is doing here. And that has effects for the rest of the region. because, like Luke was, correctly pointing out, it's setting an example, right? That there could be a better alternative system. Anyways, the 21 minute clock went off, which I'm going to reset in a second. And that means that we're going to take a shot of Optimus Field's tequila. Ingredients include Christine Lagarde's Tears, and is manufactured by Augustin Carson Corporation. So I'm going to do a cheers that we do in Miami, which is everybody. Arriba, pa abajo, pa el centro, pa dentro. All right, I'm now going to reset the 21 minute timer. Here we go.
Wow. If Surfer, yeah, there you go. That's if Surfer Jim needs an explanation as to why the panel I'm about to be on with him is so ass. Class, we're on a road. Just said that connection was lost. Are we still live? Let me know in the chat if you still. Okay, we're good. Okay, we're good. I think we're good. So we're on a rotation here. Again, everybody in the chat, thank you guys for being here. Of course, smash that like button. Give this a share. 1,400 people. Awesome. Oh, okay. Awesome.
That's good.
Yeah, that is good. So, yeah, please do give this a share on whatever socials you happen to be on. Shout out to everybody watching live on Nostr as well. Always cool to have you guys here.
Are they doing shots with us at, the afternoon of Friday?
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah. So let us know in the chat if you are literally Nico is currently in the chat.
What are you talking about? what did this Nico say?
He said something about tips.
Oh, yeah, that might have been me.
Awesome. So we are on a rotation here. We're going to jump to the next reason for being bullish. Luke, I'm going to keep it with you, and I'll cue you up with the same question everybody gets. Why are you bullish?
I suppose I'm bullish for the reasons you said about local education. The kids are getting it. I mean, it's the compound effects of, they're learning today. They're going to go out in the workforce tomorrow. And then, in a quarter and a year and 5 years, 10 years, they're going to have a really large impact. And every single one of them is their own node, their own network of people that they're going to impact in their world. So I think obviously the freedom first perspective is very optimistic. As far as globally, the Bitcoin, obviously we're all, well, you're not American, but we're all from America. So obviously in the land of ETF world, obviously that's probably the number one from a pure number go up perspective. That's obviously the number one catalyst probably of this year, maybe tied with the halving or, however you want to define that. But, we're 6 weeks into the ETF. The ETFs have totally, cumulatively bought 500,000 or so Bitcoin. There's 1.7 million 1.7 million Bitcoin left to be mined over the next 116 years. So if the ETFs could acquire basically, a significant fraction of the number of coins that eventually going to be issued, it doesn't take a rocket scientist, I don't think, to figure out that El Salvador is increasing adoption. Guatemala is increasing adoption. That's tens of millions of people that right now don't have a lot of money, but go out one generation, they're going to have more money. And what's the money they're going to want? Are the people in Guatemala going to adopt the ETF? Are the people in Guatemala going to want the dollar as much as Bitcoin? We have Latin America, South America, Africa, much of Southeast Asia. These places are industrializing. These places are growing, right? Right now, I always joke about how we've less in common with the future in the past. Really, we are entering, over this century, we are going to see the global South, or what's often called the global South, in terms of pure population and many cases in GDP too, eclipse America and Canada and Europe and China, China even, and that's not to say it's a zero-sum game, but the point is that, right now places like Nigeria or places like, India or Bangladesh or much of Latin America here are underappreciated, I think, in their purchasing power because they're not close to the money printer, right? Like all of us are. And so they're all industrializing. And in the same way that they skip the landline and go straight to the cell phone, they're going to skip us. They're going to skip the central banker. They're going to skip Jerome Powell and go straight to Satoshi, right? And so I think that's very bullish. And I think that probably, the number that keeps rolling in my mind, especially with the halving coming up from the time of recording in 2 weeks or so, is the number, just the amount of sats left. I just don't think most people, including the people watching, understand how scarce, or a better word is finite, how finite Bitcoin is, and what that means potentially to price, and what that means potentially to the future value of Bitcoin. We like to model it. We like to, look at previous cycles, but it's like trying to predict the internet in 2020 or 2024, based on, the first few years of data of the internet in, the early 90s or whatever, right? I just don't think the models are going to hold up. And it's a meme, and it's a meme that Saylor really kind of accelerated, but I just think it's true. I mean, I asked Ben this. I'd like to ask you guys, actually, since you're here, but I asked Ben this yesterday. If you guys know off the top of your head, how many sats with this new halving 2024 to 2028, how many sats are being issued on the Bitcoin's network per person per day? Do you know, if you have a guess? I got it wrong. Yeah, per person per day. No?
I have no idea.
It's 5.
No way.
Sats?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna win.
But yeah, so I mean, it's like, I don't know what more someone needs to be bullish. It's like, if you're like 5 sats per person per day, the people here in El Salvador, Guatemala, Thailand, right? I mean, it's crazy. He got 500, so he got the right number, wrong order of magnitude.
It's hilarious. So I'm sorting through the math. I'm like, okay, so there's 8 billion people. How many sats per day? It used to be 900. It's going to be 450. It's going to be 450 Bitcoin per day. That's how many billion? So 45 billion sats a day. I'm trying to do the math, and I'm like, no way, it can't be that. And I'm mentally arguing with myself between 50 and 500 sats per day, and I'm thinking 50. If I say it and it's lower, I'm gonna look like the idiot, and I'm gonna ruin the shock factor, the fact that it's 50. And I'm like, it's got to be, I think it's 500, but it might be 50. And then Luke's like, no, 5. So, no way.
That's insane. And Luke, you were an incredible priest. But by the way, me and Opti use all the time as source material on Simply Bitcoin. And I think basically the theme of the piece is, are you late to Bitcoin? And you lay out essentially how much Bitcoin you would need to be in the lower class, the middle class, the upper class, millionaire status, billionaire status in kind of like the future generations. And the numbers that you got to are really not that big, right? Like, and the math that I do know off the top of my head is that there's between 50 to 60 high net worth individuals around the world. A high net worth individual is someone defined as someone who has a $1 million liquid net worth or above, and there's only 21 million Bitcoin. I mean, that's simple math, right? If every millionaire around the world wanted to buy just one, they literally could not do so if they wanted to, right? Which is absolutely absurd. So I don't know, Luke, if you want to mention, because I read that piece, I really, really enjoyed. I think I've had you on the show to talk about it, and I've mentioned it various times on Simply Bitcoin Live.
Yeah, it needs an update. I made that in late January 2023, so that's been over a year outdated. I'm working on some new ones, and obviously, like I said it then, I'll say it now again. I don't necessarily mean these things are like literally true. I mean, obviously these things are going to take many decades, and obviously there's a long way to get there. But I mean, the point still stands that, if you've got 5 million Satoshis, that's, on a per capita basis, that's 1 million days of per capita Bitcoin issuance. I mean, most of us got 10, 20, maybe a little more 1,000 days left to live. I mean, it's like, I think less than common future in the past, we're going to leave the era where everyone's worried about Bitcoin crashing. And eventually at some point, whether it's this cycle or next, or the one after that, it doesn't matter. At some point, it's just going to be, I think it's just going to rocket upwards, and people are going to realize, people now say, I've got 5 million sats. Oh, I don't have enough. I'm too late to Bitcoin. But, but in 10 years or whatever it is, I think people are going to look and say, crap, I've got 5 million sats. What on earth do I do? I wasn't prepared to, have this level of wealth, like, mentally, emotionally, like, what do I do with my life? Do I retire? And so that's why I always encourage people to think about their life, what's important to them, what's valuable, because at some point, no matter how much political currency you have, at some point you're going to be broke. Like, you can have an infinite amount of cash. At some point in the future, you're going to be broke. It just isn't within your lifetime or not. And likewise with Bitcoin, you are eventually going to have enough money to probably do most of the things on your dream list or wish list, or at least much of them, right? And so, I really encourage people to think about that, because I think, we're in this fiat era where we're so used and conditioned to thinking that'll never happen, that I think one day it'll just happen, and people that were holding Bitcoin and holding it properly will have this purchasing power. And so I think it's important to think about now what's valuable to you, what's important in your life, and then you're not scrambling once numbers going up and you're worried about, self-custody this and what do I do with that and taxes here or whatever, all the things thrown at them once. Like, just that's why it means a lot being here in El Salvador, is that, it's about making relationships with people and spending time and grounding what's important in your life. So anyway, I kind of went off topic to your question, I suppose, but yeah, I mean, it's very straightforward. 20 million Bitcoin, 100 million Bitcoin, or 100 million Satoshis Bitcoin, 2.1 quadrillion sats. That's like 236,000 sats a person. I mean, people don't need nearly as much Bitcoin as they think if their time horizon is long enough, right? So, and people in Bitcoin should have a time horizon of that long, right? People often criticize me, my time horizon is too long, and I just roll my eyes, because it's like, if you're trying to get rich in 10 years, I mean, you can work 40 years in the fiat world and still not be able to retire with a couple $1 million, because you can withdraw only 4% a year because it appreciates so little, the purchasing power. But with Bitcoin, because the purchasing power appreciates so much, you don't have to, you could draw way more than 4% a year and probably still retire indefinitely, right? And so I think everyone right now has a really, really short time preference and complains about the long time preference. But I think pretty soon it's, anyway, I think perceptions are really going to shift as people realize they do not understand the true nature of a finite asset.
I just want to mention a couple things in the comments here. Jaime, who was the node in the Me Premier Bitcoin network in Canada, he did the math. He ran the numbers. 233,729 sats per person. Right now, that's around $159 to get if all 21 million Bitcoin were evenly distributed.
Which they won't be.
Yeah, which they won't be. Not to mention the lost Bitcoin. Right. That's what that number would come out to. Also, the more important comment was Tracy saying, "I will pay 5 sats to each of you per tequila shot you do right now on the show." Our daily allowance per shot.
Gonna stack a whole coin right now, 20 million shots. Yeah.
He's sold on 5 sats.
Yeah, who can stack a full coin? We might need to run to the store again.
Luke.
Oh Lord. Yeah, we're gonna top up here. So
you didn't even finish that sentence, and Nico was already pouring it.
Yeah.
I'm from Miami, bro. 305 till I die, baby.
Well, as Nico does a pour, Preston, do you want to add in your thoughts here on what Luke just spoke about?
No idea which one of these two y'all are making out now.
We're gonna spread some germs.
So what's her name? Tracy?
Oh yeah.
All right, so Tracy. 5 sats? Jesus, why?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
maybe
easy
I
it is.
shouldn't have agreed to that. All right, cheers. Anyways.
Okay, so hold on, let me have this drink.
Also, I'll say, Tracy, I expect to see those 20 sats drop into my Lightning address. Don't worry, I'll
I'm
divvy,
on Noster.
I'm gonna divvy them up, but I'll divvy them up. But
please send me those 5 sats, bro. What is that? Like
here's my-
0.00001 cent?
we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. But again,
That's literally what we have to do today. We got our daily number of sats, right?
it's all I need. But I'll say,
You know what, Luke? You should have. Those are rookie numbers. You should have just said 5 million, bro.
so Tracy, I want to see those 20 Opti. Fuck, man. Have you Opti's back there and he's chugging Lagarde's tears like nothing else. Somebody actually needs to make Lagarde's tears as a tequila. But nonetheless, Tracy, I expect those 20 sats to drop into BTC sessions at blink.sv. And
You're taking our 5 sats.
I mean, It's the tax for being on why
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
But
It's
Preston-
sponsored by Simply Bitcoin, so about 20% of that goes to Simply Bitcoin for the production. Thank you.
we'll do that. But Preston, I'll toss it to you. Thoughts on Luke's topic here?
Mine's really simple. When I came into Bitcoin and I talked about Bitcoin very early on, you were literally laughed at by anybody in traditional finance or anybody that managed, large sums of money. If you were talking to somebody that managed $1 billion bond tranche and you told them, hey, I think Bitcoin's going to really disrupt global finance, it's going to be this new global settlement layer, they literally looked at you in like the meme of the guy like taking the drink and like shooting the drink out of his mouth. That's how they looked at you. And today you literally have these people that would laugh in your face, like happily laugh in your face, playing our game, like aggressively playing our game. Like they can't scoop up these coins fast enough. They can't create another vehicle to push these units into that vehicle so they can collect fees. And I don't think that it's like, I'm not one of these people that's like super excited about the ETFs because of, I think, all the 6102 risk that comes with it. And the governments that I think are going to find themselves in dire situations, and they're going to potentially raid a lot of these treasuries. And I think that is a very real risk, like way higher risk than people have an appreciation for. But I find it entertaining that they have to play this game. And I think that is the flag, the red flag that's going up that's saying something is very, very different. Because, Larry Fink going on TV and literally saying Bitcoin is hope was one of these moments in time for me when I'm like, dear God, he's literally going to the Sailor website and like consuming all this content. He has to be, because like that word just doesn't like pop into his dictionary as he's on CNBC talking about Bitcoin. And I mean, that's the biggest guy in the business. Like really, he's the guy that's literally managing trillions of dollars of buying power that has to get crammed into something. And unfortunately, like it's not going to be crammed into anything other than Bitcoin and equities. I think gold's going to be just obliterated. I think there's many reasons why. Like they're all excited because they're up like 5% or something right now, which is just so laughable. Just such a joke. I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of gold people in Bitcoin. I'm sorry. It's a joke. Like it's so pathetic. But it, and the part that's really hard is people that are continuing to lie to themselves that it's not pathetic. They know deep down inside that it's pathetic. So chew on that. I'm sorry to just bring this truth bomb to you, but you already know that it's pathetic. So anyway, all that buying power has to get crammed into equities that actually make money, or have this huge potential growth. And so, sorry, was I boring you? I had to pop on his shades. It's going to do better than everything else, but in the face of Bitcoin, it's going to get obliterated probably 50-60% in the face of Bitcoin's returns. Luke was talking about, people looking at the return profile and like, oh, your time preference, you got to wait so long. And I'm looking at that and I'm saying, what can you own today that gives you a 50% annual? I'm being conservative with this number. That gives you like a 40 to 50% compound annual growth rate relative to everything else that's priced at basically 3 or 4%. And it's just like so laughable, because you're like, and a lot of the people that are making these arguments, they don't have disposable income to invest. Yeah. And that's why they're making the comment. It's because even if they could allocate to something in a small de minimis way, it wouldn't really have much of an impact for them because they don't have much disposable income. And I kind of feel bad that that's the scenario. It's a function of the fiat setup, but that's the reason they're making that argument is because they don't have the disposable income to allocate to literally anything. But if they did, they would look across all their investment opportunities or places that they could place their capital. And I don't know why everyone's laughing. What am I doing?
No, it's because Christine Lagarde is in the comments and she said, I want my tears back.
Also to clarify, like Preston, you're an effing fighter pilot / Apache pilot. dude, nothing you say is gonna bore me, bro. Okay, it's hot fire, hellfire, fire, literally.
Pour me a drink.
Unfortunately, we ran out of tequila, but I got you, bro.
Give me what's left. Give me the drops.
Just a few tears. Just a few tears.
Jeez, you just made a mess.
Oh,
Bro, I don't have the dude. I can't fly a fucking helicopter, man.
He's all thumbs. He's all thumbs. But yeah, I mean that's why I'm excited. I think the stuff that you were saying, Ben, earlier on is in the spectrum of like what's actually important. I think that's way more important, because when you're looking at like what's going to make the world a better place, it's all of the stuff that you talked about very early on in the show, which is the education, getting the education into the hands of the right people that are going to make really smart and efficient decisions in the future of like how they're allocating all this Bitcoin once we kind of get far enough onto the timeline. The stuff I'm talking about is more on the, they're having to play our game, is more in the context of the people that are, it's just going to be so destructive for so many of them because they're squatting on all this fixed income and it's going to get just obliterated. So yeah, I'm very bullish, obviously. But yeah, I like your talking point a whole lot better than mine, to be quite honest with you.
I just had a quick question. Nico, did you pay your entry fee into El Salvador in ETFs?
I asked, but unfortunately the lady did not receive ETFs. Yes.
So the options were not on chain or Lightning or ETFs.
In fact, when I said ETF, she said what, and I said Larry Fink, and she said Larry Fink, and she didn't understand. By the way, I can make that joke because I'm Hispanic.
I love it. All right, so we are going to do a bit of a rotation here, but first, we're going to quickly hear from our sponsors. And actually, you know what? Fun fact about me, when I get a few beverages in me, I have the bladder capacity of an untrained 2-year-old. So, Nico, what we're going to do is we're going to play some musical chairs. You're going to be me, so that when we get back from the break and I'm sprinting from the bathroom, you will get to ask, Preston, did you drop your reason early?
Dude,
yeah, I think I did.
Oh, okay.
He
right.
totally did, bro.
Okay.
You okay?
That's all right. I'm just...
He acts like he's going to be the only one running to the
I
restroom.
forget not everyone was raised in Miami. God damn.
That's okay. So, Nico, what's going to happen is we're going to play musical chairs, and when we get back, you're going to drop your reason for being bullish. Yeah?
Dale que te puede, bro. Let's do it.
All right, cool. All right. We will be back. We will be back in a moment after a quick word from our sponsors. Buy.com allows you to borrow against your Bitcoin in a non-custodial way. Collateral is held in a 3 of 4 distributed multi-sig with trusted parties. It provides institutional liquidity providers, loan periods of up to 5 years with flexible conditions and the best rates. And best of all, no rehypothecation of your funds. If you want to check them out today, head over to debify.com or hit the link in the show notes down below. Start9 is your sovereign computing solution, allowing you to use plug-and-play devices to host not only your Bitcoin stack, but your digital life. You can run things like your Bitcoin core node, your Lightning node, mempool.space, join market, as well as your personal data, files, passwords, photos, Nostr relays and clients, and even some AI tools without censorship. They have everything from entry-level devices all the way up to what I'm running, which is the Start9 Server Pure. You can check them out over at start9.com and be sure to use code BTC Sessions with a plus sign in order to get an 18% discount off of the Server Pure. When it comes to assisted multisig and inheritance planning, it's hard to beat NUNCHUK.io and their Honey Badger program. On your mobile device, they allow you to set up a full multi-signature vault. And once it's done, you have baked in inheritance planning so that your Bitcoin gets to your next of kin if anything should happen to you. On top of this, the entire thing can be set up with devices like the Tap Signer, the Cold Card, and plenty more options. And the whole thing can be done without KYC. You don't need to give up your personal information to have it set up and working for you. You can check them out today over at nunchuk.io.
Yo, welcome back to Why Are We Bullish? I'm filling in for the legendary BTC Sessions, and welcome to Why Are We Bullish, everybody. I mean, this has been a great conversation. I do want to wait for Ben and Preston to get back before we continue this. Luke, I mean, dude, is this your first time in El Salvador?
No, my second
time. Okay. Where did you go the first time?
El Zonte.
So did you see, because this is like kind of like a common theme that I've heard from a lot of people, is that there's been a tremendous amount of development in El Zonte. Is that something that's true?
Yeah, it's absolutely true. I mean, you know, a lot of Americans, unfortunately, I've talked to, are like, well, it's not developed, but it's like, you know, dude, you're in what was a former third world country. I mean, you know, but there has been a significant amount of development. You know, Mike Peterson, who I talked to the other day, back in November when I was with him in his house, he was telling me all about how in El Zonte they've been able to install a sewer system and a new road as a result of the increased tourism. You know, the hotels are booked out, the restaurants are busy. You know, it's a pretty small town, so you know, it's not that big, and obviously Bitcoin adoption is nowhere near 100%. I mean, it's actually probably higher than some people think. But hey, welcome back. Yeah, so yeah, there is development, there is adoption, but I mean, people just need, again, back to what I was saying earlier, people just need to have a longer time preference. Like, you know, it's like 2, 3, 4 years that this has been going on. Like, there's been more change to El Zonte in the last few years than the decades previously, right? It's like it's not a, you know, first world developed utopia with, like, you know, just money flowing everywhere, right? But there is real development, and for the people here, it is very real, and you know, they are excited. Like you said, locals here, you know, most locals have touched Bitcoin at least once, right? And I think, you know, Bitcoin has multiple touch points for people, maybe 2, 3, 4 touch points that they have to hear about Bitcoin before they understand it. You know, most El Salvadorans are not at touch point 4 or touch point 3, where they've gone all in Bitcoin, self-custody, you know, maxi wearing orange, right? But most El Salvadorans, or, you know, the vast majority of them, have already had touch point 1, and probably, you know, we're having a significant percentage that are approaching touch point 2, and definitely this cycle, most of them are probably going to have touch point 2. So, yeah, so the development's real and the excitement's real, and you know, it's going to be part of the reason why I enjoy coming down here, is because I want to be able to say I saw what it was like near the beginning, and I, you know, every few years it was unrecognizable to what it was a few years ago. So yeah, that's what I'll say about that.
100%. And just kind of steer back the show. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, of course, BTC Sessions and Preston Pysh are back on the stage. I had a little bit of a break. I just want to read
little break.
Just want to read some of the comments because they're absolutely hilarious. We have Christine Lagarde in the chat herself. I know you're there, Opti. Why won't you return my calls? And of course, we have Jamie Garcia saying, make more Hispanic jokes, Nico. Let's make the panel squirm. Anyways, I think it's my turn, I believe. So yeah, I mean, look, in terms of why am I bullish, I mean, look, the vindication of, in all seriousness, and the vindication of Michael Saylor on the public company level, and the vindication of Nayib Bukele on the nation state level. So what I mean by that, I remember seeing Michael Saylor, and Preston, I'm pretty sure you were there, and Sessions and Luke, I'm pretty sure you guys were there as well. Pacific Bitcoin 2022, Michael Saylor sitting front stage. Bitcoin was sitting at 16 to 17K. This guy was down, you know, billions of dollars. And he paid the price of tuition like the rest of us, like most Bitcoiners that go into Bitcoin. And he stuck it through. And now he's vindicated. And the Michael Saylor strategy, the, you know, it's no pun intended, the Michael Saylor's micro strategy or macro strategy.
Macro strategy.
Bitcoin strategy has been vindicated completely. I mean, he's outperformed the S&P 500. He's outperformed gold. He's outperformed all the tech stocks. He's absolutely crushed it. So I think it's just a matter of time before market forces do what market forces do best. And you have a company like Apple or Google or any of those tech companies that are sitting on, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of cash that are like melting ice cubes, that might not necessarily have to follow in the footsteps of Michael Saylor, but that 1% allocation, that 2% allocation could actually compensate for the loss of purchasing power that they're basically going to have to go through because of the amount of cash that they're sitting through. So that's on the public company level. On the nation state level, Nayib Bukele and El Salvador broke even when Bitcoin went above 40K, and he's been stacking 1 Bitcoin a day since that he made that famous announcement on Twitter. And I just have to remind everybody, like 1 Bitcoin a day, maybe, for the Michael Saylors of the world might not sound like a lot, but you have to remember the GDP of El Salvador is $32 billion, right? So Nayib Bukele nation state level vindicated, Michael Saylor on the public company vindicated, and just Bitcoiners in general, we've been vindicated. This is our time to shine, and this is why you have gentlemen like Larry Fink, the CEO and chairman of BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager in the world. 5 years ago, 2017, or 7 years ago, whatever. I have had a lot of beer and tequila. It literally said that Bitcoin is an index of money laundering. And, all these years later, he's, I forget who said this exactly. He's literally using the Bitcoin talking points on legacy corporate media saying how Bitcoin is hope for the world. I mean, yes, this is what winning feels like. Take it in, soak it in. If you guys have endured the brutal bear markets, this is your vindication. Feel it, embrace it, like it. And we're just getting started, baby, because the halving is literally less than 15 days away. It's going to be on 420. That's kind of funny. And I think this Bitcoin bull run is just getting started. But the difference is that the institutions are here. You have the legitimization of Bitcoin in the eyes of Wall Street because of Michael Saylor, because of BlackRock. And I'm telling you, I'm calling it right now, and I'm sticking to my guns. I would not be surprised that by the end of this, we don't see an Apple or Google follow in the footsteps of Michael Saylor, because, market forces do what market forces do best.
Can I just say that I don't think I've heard since before Bitcoin, I've never heard the word hope in Larry Fink's vernacular. and that's
dude, he was talking about ESGs, bro. And then BlackRock literally dropped the ESG program. Like, that's the Bitcoin effect for you.
Is ESG anti-hope? Is that?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, kind of is. Yeah, actually kind of is. Yeah.
I don't really have, I hello. Opti's been on the Lagarde tiers many times here. I don't have much to add to that, but I mean, in terms of, the people in different roles are waking up, and I think it kind of starts at the fringes, right? It's going to start at the people that are most disenfranchised, that are cut off from the banking system, that they have nothing to lose by trying something new. But you're also going to have people at the other end of the spectrum whose job it is to preserve purchasing power, and that are in charge of large amounts of capital, whose job it is to recognize those melting ice cubes. And those people are the ones that are starting to recognize it first. So you're going to have this working its way in. And I'm making exception for us because we're all weirdos and we just kind of recognized it early. We got into whatever circles and we just happened to, and everybody watching this, you're kind of the weirdos in the middle of the pack that just happen to notice it. But the people that are on the outer cusps of that, most disenfranchised and the most capital, those are the ones that it makes sense that they're recognizing it first before the rest of the world. So it's going to be an interesting kind of proliferation throughout the entirety of society.
100%. I'll pass it on to Mr. Pysh. How you feeling, Mr. Pysh?
I'm doing great.
Can I ask how your Pysh was?
Not say that. That was bad. Holy shit! I'm a bad influence, bro. God damn.
Wait,
you were back first.
You were okay. So that was a low key shout out to Tatum because you were on between two ASICs.
Dude, how funny is that guy? That dude is so funny.
So So technically the order has been switched. Preston, you are no longer between two tips. It's exclusively Luke right now.
I'm extremely uncomfortable.
Embrace it, Luke. Just embrace it. Just lean into it.
Touch the tips.
Oh, good. I felt those 5 Satoshis that we were offered for tequila. By the way, that was a total scam.
She totally overpaid.
Did she pay? Did she?
I don't know. I'm
Oh,
looking.
he's looking right
no.
now.
I'm looking. Let's see. Let's see what came through. Okay.
Did she pay?
Let's see. I see there's actually a couple other. Somebody sent 1,000 sats and 500 sats.
Okay, so it's
that's
worth it.
far above the 5 sats per day.
Wow.
That's like a whole year.
Yeah.
There you go. For one of us.
It was totally worth it.
Get us more bottles.
It was totally worth it. Preston, I'll pass it on to you because I know you were there at Pacific Bitcoin 2022, and that was one of the best conferences I remember. Like, and it's crazy because Bitcoin was at 16K and we were all having like the time of our lives, which is absolutely crazy. So yeah, what do you think about that, man? What do you think about, Michael Saylor paying his price of tuition, his vindication? What are your thoughts on that?
When a person deeply understands that you can't screw with the issuance or the supply, and you just understand how market forces kind of work with something that has that scarcity built into it, you can handle the volatility. You can handle the price going from we were close to 70,000 down to 16, and you're just kind of like, yeah, it will stop at some point. There's going to be supply suffocation that's going to occur, which is going to put a floor in the price in fiat terms. And I think a guy like Saylor, he understood that very deeply. That's why he was not rattled out of his position. In fact, he kept buying more through all of that. And people that have been around and understand these dynamics, these market dynamics for a actual free and open market, you don't have to worry about somebody doing some keystrokes and rug pulling you because they add them in right when you were short or you were long, and they're literally doing the exact opposite because they can just keep expanding the money supply. And so as a person who used to participate in traditional markets exclusively before coming to Bitcoin, that was the scenario that made it so hard to invest. Was you would be all set up, you would have the right thesis, you would have the right positioning, and then the central banks would come in and they would do these things that that made it not a free and open market, and they totally rug pulled you in your position. And so what it was to be a great investor, it was your vicinity to the people that are making the decisions and when they're going to do the next rug pull at the central banking level. And if you were close to them and you understood when it was going to happen, you could make a ton of money, a ton of fiat. And yeah, this is where Bitcoin's very different. So I look at that moment in time and I look back at it, and for all the people that deeply understood what was happening and what they owned, it was the biggest opportunity that they could possibly be presented. They seized that opportunity, and now you look at the price today and you're like, wow, so they crushed it, and it's just getting started on this current cycle. So yeah.
I think that's the most important thing I wanted to touch on is the fact that we've had two incredibly visible individuals in Michael Saylor and Bukele. And what happened? They bought Bitcoin, they were buying Bitcoin through kind of the top. Mm-hmm. And then they got shat on for like a couple of years where everybody was like, see, I told you so. You were absolutely destroyed. What a horrible decision. But they didn't stop accumulating Bitcoin. They did it through the entire bear market and then came out the other side of it. And so there's no such thing as somebody now saying it's luck, because in the absolute lows of the despair of the bear market, they were still stacking coins. And that anybody paying attention is going to go, hold on, when everybody else on earth was thinking that the bubble had popped, that the Ponzi was over and blah, 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 they were still buying Bitcoin with absolute conviction. That means that somebody, like, they must know something that I don't. And this is the first time we've seen it to this scale, and that people are going to go, why did they why did they keep buying when it was down, when it was 16K after being 70? And there's an answer there. There is.
And it hasn't even, like, this bull run that we're in my opinion, has not even like begun to start. And what you're seeing with, in a day, you're watching Michael, he's up $1 billion on the MicroStrategy balance sheet on some of the larger moves. And I can only imagine next summer where that's going to be. And like, you're going to watch his ranking in the S&P 500 as far as like where he ranks. It's going to be so out of control that, you know, how can you ignore that at that point? It's going to be so absurd.
100%. Michael Saylor, without a shadow of a doubt, complete vindication. And his stock is a testament of that. You know, once he started the Bitcoin strategy, his stock was, I think, about $144. It's literally was going sideways since the 90s, since the .com, you know, boom and crash. And now currently his stock, Opti and I checked it this morning, it was $1,704. That is a testament of the Bitcoin strategy and the vindication of, you know, the Chad Saylor and, of course, Nayib Bukele. Anyways, I do want to give a shout out to, you know, Why Are We Bullish BTC sessions and the 2,577 of you watching us live right now. Really appreciate it. If you guys are enjoying the show, make sure to smash that like button. Why Are We Bullish will be back next Friday, Simply Sessions, which I think is a better show, but I'm obviously biased because maybe it's because I'm in it. We'll be back on Thursday. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Why Are We Bullish. Check out BTC Sessions sponsors. They are in the live chat. And
it's the second one up there, but either way, before we round up, I like that I'm directing Nico on rounding up my show. But this is what happens when you have a couple bottles of tequila.
I mean, he has a better show. He should know, right?
anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning into Simply Session. Thank you so much for tuning into Why Are We Bullish? Coming live from El Salvador with our guest today, Luke Broyles, of course, the host BTC Sessions, and the legendary Preston Pysh. Check out his incredible podcast, the Investors Podcast. Why Are We Bullish will be back on Friday, and Simply Sessions will be back on Thursdays. Love you all. Make sure to smash the like button. Consider subscribing if you feel like we provided you value. And of course, check out bitcoinwell.com. Best place to build your automatic self-custody Bitcoin stack. If you like Nico, check out bitcoinwell.com/simplybitcoin. If you like Ben, check out bitcoinwell.com/BTC Sessions. But I highly recommend checking out bitcoinwell.com/simplybitcoin. All right, everybody. Love you all. See you guys on Friday. Peace out, everybody.
HODL the Bitcoin.